young children. When Alfred was 5, the Wallaces moved to Hartford in England, where Alfred's father worked as a librarian. They never had quite enough money, and life was a struggle. But Alfred had a happy childhood and loved reading and gardening. Alfred went to Hartford Grammar School, a small school with only one room, until he was 14. Then he had to earn a living to help support his family. Wallace's first job was working for his older brother William, who had a surveying business. Alfred learned to measure areas of land and the heights of hills to make maps. He also learned about the different rocks that make up the land and found lots of fossils. Alfred loved working outside, surrounded by nature. After working for William, Alfred's skills helped him find other jobs, including teaching in a school and working on plans for a railroad. However, just like Darwin, his true interests lay elsewhere. A love of nature. As their lives went on, Darwin and Wallace both became more and more fascinated with the natural world. They filled their spare time with watching wildlife and reading about nature. Charles Darwin may have been a lazy student, but he was devoted to his hobbies. He loved riding and walking in the countryside, spotting plants and animals. In Edinburgh, he often went to the seashore to collect interesting creatures from rock pools. In Cambridge, he started a new hobby, collecting beetles, and became almost obsessed with it. Once he found 3 beetles together. Desperate to catch them all, he held one in each hand and put the third in his mouth. A big mistake. "To my unspeakable disgust and pain," he wrote to a friend, "the little inconsiderate beast squirted his acid down my throat." He had to spit it out and dropped the other 2 in shock. At university, Darwin made friends who helped him with his interests. One was Robert Grant, who became a leading biologist. Another, John Edmonston, taught Darwin taxidermy, the art of stuffing and preserving dead animals. Nature collectors. Today, people know not to collect things like wild animals and birds' eggs, as it harms them. In the 1800s, people saw things differently. Naturalists often caught and killed insects, for example, and preserved them in order to study them. In those days, plants and animals were less likely to be endangered, and there were no laws against collecting wildlife specimens. A head for science. Alfred Russel Wallace had always loved all kinds of learning. Whenever he had any spare time, he read as much as he could. He devoured the latest books on geology, how rocks shape the earth, and biology, the science of living things. He was fascinated with transmutation, which is now called evolution. This is the idea that species of living things change over time. Several scientists had spoken about it, but no one knew how it happened, and many people disagreed about it. Wallace also read works by Thomas Malthus on what makes human populations rise and fall, and by Charles Lyell on how rocks form and wear away. In fact, these were to be very important in both Wallace's and Darwin's future discoveries. They just didn't know it at the time. In 1844, while working as a teacher, Wallace spent his evenings at the local library. There, by chance, he met another nature fan, Henry Walter Bates. Bates was only 19, 2 years younger than Wallace, but he was already an experienced insect collector. He had even had an article published in a nature magazine. When Bates showed him his beetle and butterfly collections,